class, we're going to start our first informational video tonight for 1.3 in your textbook. And this is all about addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division properties. Some review of Algebra 1, basically. So I just want to show you this addition property when you add the same number to both sides. Subtraction property, when you subtract the same number from both sides. Multiplication property is when you multiply both sides by the same non-zero. Division property is when you divide both sides of the equation by the same. Let's take a look at what that actually looks like. Okay? So, here we have a math problem. In Algebra 1 level, it's a two-step problem. We have 4/5 x plus 8 equals 20. Let's go ahead and look, where do we start? First of all, we need to get x by itself. That's your goal for every algebra problem. We have a plus 8, and we have 4/5 times it. You always start with what's farthest away, so the plus 8 is actually considered farther away. So we're going to go ahead and remove that by subtracting 8 from both sides. Excuse me for the cough. All right, so we'll subtract 8 and subtract 8 from both sides of the equation. And now we get 4/5 x is left on the left side. And plus 8 minus 8 gets you to 0. Bring down your equal sign. And 20 minus 8, of course, is 12. Now, you're left with a fraction times x. So, in order to get rid of this fraction and get a single x, which is what we need, we're going to multiply by the reciprocal fraction, 5/4. And we have to multiply the other side by 5/4 so that we're not actually changing the equation. The 5's will cancel, the 4's will cancel, and we're simply left with a single x. Over here, technically this could be placed as 12 over 1. 4 goes into 4 once, 4 goes into 12 3 times. So what do we have? 3 times 5 on top, which is 15. And then 1 times 1 on the bottom, which is a 1. If we divide 15, let's technically say we get 15 over 1. Well, that equals 15. So our answer is x equals 15. All right, review of algebra. Let's take a look at another one. Here we go. Here's a word problem. During one shift, a waiter earns wages of $30 and gets an additional 15% in tips on customer food bills. The waiter earns $105. What is the total of the customer's food bills? Well, let's first figure out what he did. First of all, he has income. That's the money you get for working. He's got his wages, and then he gets a certain percent for tips every hour. And then that percent is based on the food bills. So you'll see we have the income equals wages plus percent times the food bill. And let's take a look at what we can actually do here. I'm going to go ahead and remove. There we go. Look at that. $105 is what he earned. He had $30 in wages and 15% times the food bill. And so we're going to look at what was the total of the customer's food bills. How do we do that? Basic algebra. Here we go. Here's the problem. Now, how do we get the x by itself? Because that would be our food bill. We first have to get rid of the 30. It's a positive 30. So what are we going to have to do? We're going to have to subtract 30 from both sides. So subtract 30, subtract 30. And let's see. We get on the left side, 5 minus 0 is 5. And 10 minus 3 is 7. Equals, and then positive 30 minus 30, which means you're going to have nothing here. So that leaves you with just 0.15 or 0.15x. We will divide both sides by 0.15. Divide by 0.15. Remember, this is multiplication originally, so how do we get rid of it? Division. These will cancel. You'll get your single x. Now remember, x represents the number or the food bill. So 75 divided by 0.15. You can use your brain. You can use your calculator. The overall answer then would be 500. Okay? So there you go. $500. All right. Now I've shown you how to do two of the algebra problems. I know you probably already know these because you've done them in the past. All right. Here's some for you to try on your own and see if you still remember everything. Now, as always with my videos, I suggest that you go through slow. If you need the time to go back and review, just rewind the video. At this point in the guided practice section, I expect you to pause your video, do the problems on your own, and then we will restart the video. So go ahead and pause your video, and you're going to restart when you're finished doing the problems and check your answers. All right, pause your video now. Welcome back to the video, and let's see how you did. When you solved number 1, you should have been able to get an x equals 3. Number 2, x equals 4. And number 3, x equals 5. Those are your solutions. Check your work. All right, we have a word problem here. Real estate agents, base salary is $22,000 per year. Get a 4% commission on the total sales. How much must the agent sell to earn $60,000 in a year? First of all, try to write the question out, and then give it a try. This is your word problem to try out on your own. See if you can solve it. Pause your video. Welcome back. Let's see if you were able to come up with the answer. The answer should be that the agent must sell $950,000 in a year to reach $60,000. Now, how would you set that up? Let's see. First of all, let me grab my pen from up here. We have a base salary of $22,000 plus he gets 4% commission, so 0.04. That's how you represent percent. How much must the agent sell to earn $60,000 in a year? So he has to earn $60,000 for his total income. Now, 4% of what? Well, that's what we have to figure out. What must he sell? So we'll call that X. So he gets $22,000 plus 4% of all the sales, and that gets his income. When you solve this math problem, you will get $950,000. All right. Let's take a look at another example. Here's a multiple choice. What is the solution to this equation? Now, this one's a little bit more difficult because you have a variable on both sides. Always start these questions by taking the smallest variable away from the bigger variable. So you're going to subtract 7p from each side using the subtraction property of equality. And then you will go ahead and move until you get the p by itself. Let's take a look at how we would do that. I'm going to go ahead and remove. Let's see. So what we do is we subtract 7p, and we get 2p. So we're left with 13 on this side, 2p minus 5, everything brought down. Now, if you're guessing what would happen next, we're going to have to add our 5 to that side because we want to get the p all by itself now that we have it to the right side. So we add the 5 and we get 18. 18 equals 2p. Well, 2 times what gets you 18? You should have known that that was a 9. So p equals 9. That's your solution. So D is your correct answer. All right. Now, how do you check it? You could always place the 9 back in for all the p's and see if the answer turns out equal. For example, here's a p, put a 9. Here's a p, put a 9. Go ahead and do the math. 7 times 9, add 13, you get 76. 9 times 9, subtract 5, you get 76. They are equal. That means your 9 was the correct answer. All right. Here's another question. It's a little bit more challenging using your old Algebra 1 skills. What happens when you have parentheses? If you remember, you have to distribute. Take 3 times 5 and 3 times 8, or negative 8, and you will get 15x minus 24. Take negative 2 times negative x, you get a positive 2x. Negative 2 times 7, you get a negative 14. And then they have a minus 12x, so you bring that down. Now, we go ahead and we take a look at this side. It's simplified. This side we have a 2x minus 12x, so you get a negative 10x. Bring down the negative 14. Now let's keep going. We need to get the x's to one side now that we have it down to dual terms on both sides. Let's go ahead and take the smaller one, the negative 10x, which is smaller, and add it to that side. So add 10x, you get 25x. Bring down your negative 24, bring down the negative 14, and of course the equal sign. Now we're getting closer to an x value. We need this x all by itself. Minus 24, to bring it to the other side, you add 24 to both sides, addition property of equality. And so you will see we added 24 and we get 10. So 25x equals 10, divide by 25, divide by 25. You're like, why does it say 2/5? Well, 10 over 25 simplifies to 2/5. Final answer is 2/5. All right. You can check it out and do all your work to see if it works out, and yes, it does if you plug in your 2/5. Next, you have these 4 questions to try on your own. Pause your video and try them. All right, let's take a look and see how you did. This one should have been 4. Number 6 is 1. Number 7 is -7. And number 8 was -1. I appreciate you guys all trying each question and listening to the video, and I will see you all tomorrow.